please welcome driver of car number 3 with a provisional spot, Matt Galco.
In the 26th starting spot, he'll set behind the wheel of car number 25, TSI Harley-Davidson Hidden Still Restaurant, for the man that they call short track racer, Sean Foster.
And we want to direct your attention to opposite ends of the grandstands, because these drivers are headed down right straight through the crossover gate at the start-finish line as we introduce to you the starting lineup. Sean Foster on the inside, going to post position 25. Please welcome from the Johnson Motorsports stable, the one, the only former Whelen Modified Tour champion, Doug Coby.
From the 12th row in the 24th starting spot, Hayton Auto Supply will bring us the Iron Man, car number 96 for Kurt Brainerd.
Going to post position 23 inside of row number 12. He did it the hard way, having to hold on to the transfer spot in one of the consolation races. Purple is the color, 00 is the number. A long-time racing family driving the Membrino Motorsport Special. It is Tommy Membrino Jr.
The 22nd starting position, it'll be car number 92. Monaco Ford and Sarek Fabrication are among the sponsors. Ladies and gentlemen, from South Windsor, Connecticut, row number 11, Brian Sullivan.
And there you can see McGilla Gorilla bringing part of the starting field down. You'll notice, Ben, that there are chairs set up. A nod to the race that is going to be held at the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway this weekend, where they take the class photo each and every year with the starting grid for the Brickyard 400. We're going to do exactly the same thing. Rockin' and rollin' is McGilla Gorilla as we continue with our starting grid. Let's take a look at row number 11. On the outside, number 92, the Monaco Ford car, Sarek Fabrication, Brian Sullivan. Ronnie Williams, who ran so well 1 week ago, Ben Dodge, and made it into victory lane. One of the young guns here at the Stafford Motor Speedway, starts in the 21st position.
Now moving to row number 10, 20th spot on the field. He also comes from the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour in the Lucas Oil Male Performance number 93. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome him back, Richie Pillai Jr. In the 10th row in the 19th starting spot, it's the Jones Brothers roofing car. The talent of car number 39 is Chris Jones.
You talk about generations of race car drivers. We watched Tony Sylvester wheel the cars around the Stafford Motor Speedway. We have seen this gentleman race here at Stafford for many years, making his return in the TAS Country Home Special, going to post position number 18, number 51, Zach Sylvester. And driving on a set of tires that he bought at the Spring Sizzler, making his return here to the Stafford Motor Speedway. He will bring the field down from row number 9 on the inside, from Wilbraham, Massachusetts, in the red, white, and blue, number 17, the techproducts.com special for Glenn Reen.
In the 16th starting spot, it'll be the Ford of Northampton sponsored car. A-Plus, AVAC among the sponsors of car number 11. The driver is Nick Bovin. Alongside at row number 8 is car number 57. S&S Asphalt Paving, Dunlevy Trucking and Trailer brings us car 57 for the talented Chase Dowling.
He is a longtime veteran, not only of SK Racing, but the Busch and now K&N Racing East Division. He has been wheeling an SK here for oh so many years. Red is the paint scheme, white are the numbers. The number 76 in the Bowles Chrysler Dodge Jeep Special, going to starting position number 14, it is Tommy Bowles. And flanking Bowles on the inside of row 7. Driving number 26, won here in an SK Modified in the past. 1 year ago, he wheeled the Linden Tree Service Made and Formed Foundation Special into victory lane. Looking to do so tonight, it is Danny Gates.
Moving now to the 6th row. Is not only the point leader, but he's the defending champion of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, and the youngest driver to do so. In the Sullivan & Sons, John Geepool and Drywell. Number 2, the Deuce is Wild. It is Ryan Priest.
And he will be one of our 2 in-race radio reporters, courtesy of Waddell Communications.
The 11th starting spot will go to perhaps a surprise to some, but a good qualifying round puts car number 79. Checkmate Industries Equipment Service are among the sponsors for Tony Membrino Jr.
Row number 5 sees the living proof that age and treachery will oftentimes win out over youth and enthusiasm, and the fact that a former Stafford Motor Speedway Kids Club member will go to the inside of row 5. On the outside, driving the 10A black with the red piping and the white numerals, the Horsepower Hill Farms special for Somers, Connecticut's Dan Avery. And he grew up in the stands here at Stafford, one of the inaugural members of Jackaroots Kids Club. He's come up through the divisions and now is a multi-time winner in SKs, in late models, in their stocks. He's a homegrown hero, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome driver of the number 50, the Flamingo Motorsports, James Page Plumbing and Heating Special, Woody Pitcat.
The 4th row will look like this. Inside of the 4th row, the Jervis Brothers Roofing NJK Automotive Machine. Car number 22 for a gentleman that's been very consistent with top 5 runs. Would you welcome Michael Jervis Jr.? And outside of that row, he was quick in practice, but a mechanical problem almost took him out of the event. But he came back. They call him the Bulldog. The cause is Central Auto, North End Auto Parts number 66. Eric Burns.
And go to row number 3. He is the winningest driver in Stafford Motor Speedway history. More wins than Fred DeCero. More wins than Richie Evans. More wins than Maynard Troyer, Charlie Jazombek, Jeff Bodine, or Bug Stevens. He will wheel the familiar red, white numeral number 13, the Freightliner of Long Island. CWPM and JV3 Construction Special, Ted Christopher. And on the inside, flanking the old veteran, is one of the youngsters having come up and graduated from the SK Lights division. He now will go to post position number 5 in the AV International Race Special, Joey Cipriano III in number 84.
Let's now move to the 2nd row on the inside. This gentleman literally owned Victory Lane here at Stafford a couple of seasons back. That has not been the story in 2014. Ladies and gentlemen, starting on the inside of the 2nd row, it'll be car number 88, the Wheelers Automotive Machine. Would you welcome Kid Rock, Keith Rocco?
And going to the outside in the number 81 in the Cooker Construction Special, red with those beautiful chrome numbers on the side, it is Todd Owen. We can now introduce to you the front row that will bring you down for this first ever $5,000 to win SK Modified feature. He is a former track champion here at the Stafford Motor Speedway. He drives the Earth Technology baby blue colored silver numeral number 91. Frank Rocco will bring the field down out of the outside of row number 1. And the pole position goes to the Monk Mechanics Hand Cleaner Hitchcock Pool Water Special for Valenti Racing, Valenti Modified Racing Series champion. Please welcome driver of the 99, Rowan Pennant. How about that, ladies and gentlemen, as they begin to make their way down, and our thanks as well to the Wolfpack mascot as he's there at start-finish line. I'm sorry, Wolfie. Sonar, I am terribly sorry, but I'll take McGilla Gorilla over you any day of the week. What about you, folks? Sonar, the Wolfpack mascot? Let's hear it. Remember now, McGilla Gorilla's got bigger teeth. How about for McGilla Gorilla, the Stafford Speedway mascot?
That's right. He's pumped, too. He's ready tonight.
Time to rock and roll, is it not?
It sure is.
And there, ladies and gentlemen, if you direct your attention down to the start-finish line, the class of 2014 about to be assembled, and they will sit for their souvenir photo. Something, by the way, that I don't know about you, but I'm going to get me a copy of it.
Certainly will, and the fans will have that opportunity to do just that. And this is a real rarity because we've got them all assembled, the class, as you said, of 2014.
What do you think, folks? Let's send them off with a great cheer and a round of applause as they pose for their photo. This is as slow as they're going to go all night. Pick your winner, and don't forget, we haven't even determined the race distance.
We know the amount. We know that it's $5,000 in excess of 30, the biggest payday in SK Modified Racing, but we have no idea. Nobody in the house knows the story.
We told you about our Waddell Communications in-car reporters tonight. Well, they're the two guys that were the principals in a slugfest 1 week ago. I tweeted earlier today, who wears the black hat, who wears the white hat? We are pleased that we will have radio communications with Kid Rock, Heath Rocco, and with the Deuce, the Flying Deuce of Ryan Preece. Now, if you remember, when last time we did this, Ben, with Mike Joy and I, Ryan Preece had the great line before the last restart. He urged everybody to go get the popcorn because it was going to be wild. Well, that was only a 40-lap main
That's right.
event.
And that was only a regular purse event, not 5 Gs, 5 big ones. So,
and think about this. We have already distributed over $1,500 just in the qualifying races. And what were we treated to? Everybody getting up on the wheel. But the key tonight for this class of 2014, 27 cars strong, over 2,000 horsepower, assembled on the Manafort Mini Mile. The key is in order to finish first, you first must finish.
and that is the story of tonight's event, the underlining story. And now the drivers, you see them, they've taken their photos, they're heading back to their equipment as we speak. But still, at this point, no one knows the answer, the $5,000 question.
Well, we're about to get that answer. Ed Norton is the, Ed Nelson is, as you said, from Napa, and he is our Grand Marshal for this segment, as we've had all the great Napa representatives. And you can see, by the way, they're moving the loving cups to safety. I have never known my brother to spend so much money on 2 take-home trophies.
I think Lisa had a little bit of influence there.
I think Paul and
I think
Paul and David did too.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's check in with another member of our broadcast team. You hear him all the time in the seat that I'm occupying tonight. He is trackside. You have a conversation. Here's Matt Buckler.
We have a young driver with us who has a very important job. Our honorary Grand Marshal of tonight's Napa 5K SK. How about a big hand for 9 years old from Ellington, Ryan Wheeler? Well, Ryan, how excited are you to be part of this tonight?
I am very excited.
I can sense that. Oh, who are you rooting for tonight? Anyone? You want to give us a little insight on what you think is going to happen?
There's only going to be one clash, I'm thinking.
Okay, he is psyched up, and in just a few moments is going to reach into the bucket that Kelly is holding. There is a 76, an 80, and a 100, and he is getting ready to pull. So we are ready. Okay, Ryan Wheeler making the big move. All the drivers are waiting to see what he comes up with. And he is going to the bottom of the Napa bucket. And here is what he picked: 100 laps. So a good job. The fans think you did a great job. Are you happy with what you did?
Yes.
Okay, don't go anywhere, because we are going to be needing you in a moment to get this field and the party started. So, Ryan Wheeler, he is psyched up, and in just a few moments, he is going to give the command to bring these 27 SK Modifieds to life in the most lucrative SK Modified feature in the history of the Stafford Motor Speedway.
I wonder what the sound has been on the radio cackle.
Let's get ready to rumble!
And to get this party started, we go trackside back to Matt Buckler.
And here is your own Ryan Wheeler of Ellington with the most famous command in motorsport.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Oh, and
Yes.
the field comes to full song. And the only thing that makes this better is the tune that is in the background. For more than 40 years, almost 5 decades, Isaac Hayes' fantastic rock and roll version of Shaft. Let's crank it up. Field getting ready to pull away, Matt. Getting ready to pull away, and we have got a treat. As I told you, our in-car radios. First up is Kid Rock, Keith Rocco. Shall we check in?
We sure should.
Keith Rocco, Jackaroo, can you hear us up here in the radio control booth? All right, so what's your strategy? You find yourself in the second row.
I haven't come up with a strategy yet. We're going to wait till the green flag flies off with turn 4 and lamp right there. I can tell you one thing, when the good guys get to the front like Priest said, there will be fireworks, there will be a show for the fans.
With the 100 laps, you have to be up on the wheel, or is tire conservation? You only 4 Dr. Feelgood you start with. What, when do you really turn the wick up, Keith?
We'll wait. We do want to give the fans a show here, but I'm pretty sure this whole field knew this is going to be 100 laps, and they all plan their strategy. So we're gonna go with our game as planned.
All right. Well, good luck to you. We'll be checking in with you throughout the course of the race.
We'll be here.
And now let's go back and check in with an individual starting, well, back in the 12th position on the field. Ryan Priest, the current point leader, going in.
Ryan Priest, Jackaroo, topside. How you doing? All right, you're kind of mired in the back of the pack. What's the strategy? Try one more time. Ryan Priest, Jackaroo, do you hear us?
I got you. You're on the right channel now, bud.
Well, now, wait a minute. Are you sitting there saying to me that you're monitoring Rocco's radio?
I'm monitoring your radio, bud.
All right, we talked about the fact that last week it was a slugfest, and it was only laps. It ended up not to your liking. What do you do now, mired in the back of the pack?
Well, started off the day the way we wanted. We wanted to get that 250 for winning the heat. Now the $5,000 is up on the line, so we're going to try to do this. Thanks to Napa, thanks Stafford for putting this race on. See if we can get some money.
All right, what do you think the fans should watch for? The front of the field or where you're running?
I think everywhere is going to be pretty exciting, all the way to lap 100.
All right, when we talked to Rocco, he said you couldn't wait until you and Christopher and the rest of the guys got to the front. How do you feel about that?
Going to race my race, do what I've been doing, try to win it for my guys, and I want to thank everybody real quick. Gun Coast, Eagles, Petting Engines, Napa, Canton, Sullivan and Sons, JD Pool and Drywall, Earl Pelletier Concrete, and Sunoco Race Fuels, everybody else. Thanks a lot, and go have some fun.
All right, good luck to you. All right, Ben, it's time for us to introduce the third member of our squad. He started here as a PR director. He was here in the book. And it's time for us to go down into turn number 3 and check in with Mike Massaro. Hey, Mike.
Great to be here, Jack. Perhaps have the best view on all of this property, high above turn number 3. As I look to my left, I can look all the way down the back straightaway into turn number 2. This is where they'll sweep off that corner and start to accelerate down that back straightaway, trying to position themselves toward the bottom of the racetrack in turn 3, where they'll try to make the pass. This is a very flat, very tight corner, but this is the place where we could see the final pass for the race and for the win. The $5,000 up for grab in the final turns here at Stafford. Looking forward to calling him once again.
Hey, Mike, just a quick reminder. It's not Jimmy Johnson. It's not Brad Keselowski. These are the men that live by the grace of God in 600 horsepower.
These names, a lot of them, like mine and yours, end in a vowel. I have a lot easier time saying these.
All right, we'll be checking in with you. So there you have our broadcast team. Down on pit road, we'll also have Tony Sutton. Let's quickly get a word from him.
I think one of the key issues down here is going to be the fact that the tire management is going to be really, really important. If they get a flat, they're going to have to have the tire inspected before they put it behind the wall. And every team down here realizes that if they don't manage their tires, they're not going to last 100 laps. It's going to be a real slugfest back upstairs.
A slugfest is exactly what it's going to be. Ladies and gentlemen, get up off your seats and make some noise. It's main event time. $30,000.
Grab anything that's white. That's the old tradition here at Stafford. Wave it. If it's your hanky, if it's your BVDs, no matter what it may be.
What about your teeth, Jack? Your teeth.
Wish them Godspeed. The light on the pace car is out. They're starting to do the double up down into turn number 1. They'll be coming to view of Mike Massaro. Take it away, Mike. The number 99 will bring the field down. On the outside, it is Frank Rocco. Pace car is off, ready to go. Grandma, put your teeth in your pocketbook. We're about to go racing Mod Squad style.
Off the turn, green is out from Ed Nelson from Napa Auto Parts, and Panic takes it to the bottom of turn 1. Already Kid Rock making his magic move. Turn 4, back up on the wheel. Here comes Keith Rocco, moves into seconds.
Frank Rocco dropped back to 3rd. Let's check down in turn number 3.
Fan off of turn number 2. Headed down into 3, it's Panic with the lead by only about a tire's width, but heavy pressure from behind as Rocco looks to the inside off turn 4.
Not enough that time by, but Keith Rocco is haunting your leader, the number 99 of Rowan Panic.
He certainly does. He dips at the inside, back down to turn number 3.
And he's got a good look off the back straight onto the bottom of the racetrack. There goes the 88 car. He's got a little bit of running room, gets up underneath Panic, but Panic shuts the door.
And turn your attention a little bit further down, and you'll notice that the deuce is moving up. Ryan Preece has broken into the top 10. He's being shown in 8th. Now he's just got to find a place and a way to get around Cipriano.
Preece now goes to the outside. He works his way around Todd Owen. Back up front, Panic still leads him, but Rocco is glued to his back bumper. Challenge is on right at the point as well.
Panic able to open up ever so slightly, but here comes Rocco once again. Looks to the inside. He'll try to make a bid for the lead in 3. They're dead even off turn 4 and give the advantage to...
Oh, and that horsepower on that Wheeler Automotive car, the number 88. He just shot out of the cannon. He is our second leader, but Panic is not having enough of much to say about it, Ben.
He certainly is not, but while all that's been happening...
On the inside, again, Panic.
Crossover move, he moves down underneath Rocco. Off the turn they come, and Rowan Panic has it back at the line.
Or does he? Down into turn number 1. It is Panic with the lead, but going way up high, Mike Massaro, is car number 88.
Yeah, and Rocco has the high line now into turn number 3. Again, Nerf bar to Nerf bar, dead even through turn number 4. Panic trying to hold him off. He tries to stretch it out now as it comes to start finish.
Hey, keep your eye on number 2. As Ryan Preece predicted, he is working the outside and is now moved into the 6th position.
Preece in the 6th spot. 7th is behind him is Cipriano. Back up front, wheel to wheel and side by side. Off the turn, Panic by a nose as they head to turn 1.
Panic and Rocco locked at the hip. Nerf bar to Nerf bar. The advantage goes to Panic, but ever so slightly down the back straightaway. And here now comes a bid from the 91 car. Looking to the inside of Rocco. Rocco still up high. Panic with the lead.
And look who has moved into that 4th position while we watch the side-by-side battle. TC Ted Christopher try and stack it up side by side, too deep.
Christopher holds on to that 4th position. Now back to 3. They're starting to double up once again.
Down on the inside is Ryan Preece trying to do the swap with Ted Christopher. Lap number 10 is in the books, Mike.
And things starting to settle down now up front. Or should I speak a little bit too early? Rocco once again looking to the inside of Panic, but Panic has the line. Single file, Rocco 2nd, followed by Ruwako in 3rd.
And Priest is continuing to look to the inside of Ted Christopher.
He certainly is, and all of a sudden Priest thinks twice of it, and right there with him is Eric Burt, the Bulldog. We haven't talked much about the 60s. It's among the top 6 cars as well.
Let's set the starting field, the running field at the end of 10 laps. Rowan Pennick, Keith Rocco, Frank Rocco running in the 3rd spot. Ted Christopher was in 4th. Ryan Priest 5th, 6th to Eric Burt. Joey Cipriano moved into 7th, Todd Owen 8th. 9th was Woody Pitkat and Dan Avery in 10th. Challenge for the lead in turn 3.
And go to the inside. The crossover move, though, by Pennick. Pennick back down low, draws even at the start-finish line. The advantage to Rocco, but the bottom shot, turn number 1. Pennick taking the lead back, but only by a tire's width. They're still locked, Nerf bar to Nerf bar, wheel to wheel down the back straightaway. This for the lead into turn 3. Rocco with an advantage by only about a foot, but going away.
They come together off turn number 4, but Rowan Pennick has found the number 1 spot again. Frank Rocco, another former champion, Jack. He's right there in 3rd and applying the pressure. Here comes Keith Rocco again.
Down on the inside goes Keith Rocco in the number 88. He goes hub to hub and just blows by going in on Rowan Pennick, and he takes over the lead. But look on the inside. Going to the inside of Keith Rocco, starting to at least explore the down low move, is the Deuce. Having come from midfield, it is the defending Whelen Modified Tour champ, the SK Modified Tour champ, and that, of course, is Ryan Priest.
Meanwhile, Ted Christopher still running in his tire tracks, and it is Eric Burt right there behind him. Todd Owen pulls out a line. That's the battle for the 7th spot. He's down underneath Cipriano as they head down the back straightaway.
On the inside goes Rowan Pennick. Is he going to do another crossover move? Keith Rocco now has to contend with Frank Rocco on the inside and trying to give an assist. Oh boy, here we go. Side by side, both of them, bumper to bumper. It's Rocco and Pennick going at, Rocco and Priest going after Pennick.
6 different lead changes in 17 circuits. That is a record, no question. As we look back, here comes Priest again. Winds up Frank Rocco on the inside. Priest as they head down towards turn number 3.
Priest sweeps off the corner, working the high line now, trying to get by Rocco. Rocco pinned to the apron. Priest dead even as they come off 4.
Frank Rocco in that number 91 starting to fade. Ryan Priest, as predicted, wanted to come to the front. No surprise for Keith Rocco. Meanwhile, directly behind that battle, TC Ted Christopher has his hands full with the Bulldog Eric Burt.
Eric Burt's got a car that works on the bottom. Christopher goes to the outside. Here comes Priest. Priest saw a little daylight, thought twice of it on the bottom, went up to the top side of the racetrack. It didn't pay off.
For 3rd on back, getting more and more intense lap after lap. Eric Burt now pinned to the bottom of the racetrack as Ted Christopher tries to take over that 5th spot. Meanwhile, your leaders have checked out and built up a 3-car length advantage over the rest of the field.
And the big question as we start to complete the 21st circuit, Ben Dodge, is how much is Rowan Pennick and Keith Rocco using up on this back and forth scenario for positions 1 and 2? You remember, you don't have the opportunity to change tires.
That is so true, and there's another story here that Priest, remember, he came from the 12th spot, so he's used up a little bit of that giddy up and go there. Back down in turn number 3. Here comes Keith Rocco again. Lead change number 7.
But is it going to be lead change number 7 at the line? No, all of a sudden Rowan Pennick goes down low on the inside. Lead change number 8 coming to Mike Massaro.
Those two just keep swapping the lead lap after lap. Pennick, a master of the crossover move, able to retain the lead. He's now trying to stretch it out, but he can't shake Rocco.
25 circuits, a quarter of the event is now history. Rowan Pennick, your leader. Keith Rocco is 2nd. Frank Rocco, Ryan Priest, and Eric Burt. Then it's Teddy Christopher, Todd Owen, Woody Pitkat, and Joey Cipriano.
You know, let's give a call, fellas, to the 91, Frank Rocco. An infrequent competitor here, usually just you have a former champion that started up front, has raced real well all night long, and he is not faded. But Ryan Priest has thoughts on that 3rd place position held by Rocco.
He certainly has, and he closes up that gap ever so slightly as they come off turn number 4. Another car we should talk about is Todd Owen. Owen has had an impossible season. He's in the 7th spot with car number 81, and he too is going forward as he closes up the gap on Ted Christopher back towards turn 3.
Mike Massaro, when you take a look at the way they're running down into turn number 3, I am very impressed with the way Keith Rocco is able to carry that Wheeler Automotive Chevrolet down into the corner.
And that's helped him stay in this. Although Pennick has had a very strong race car, Rocco's been able to run the bottom and the top. As you can see here, he slides up to the top to take a peek. There's nothing there. He'll get back in the tire tracks of Pennick. Still a long race to go, but he's not letting up. A little bit of bumper tag, it looked like, headed down into turn number 1. Rocco once again takes a peek to the bottom of the racetrack off turn number 2, but gets back in line as they head to 3.
Well, Rowan Pennick has not had the season here at Stafford in the SKs he'd like. He'll tell you he's been off. He hasn't finished. The car is broke, but tonight it looks like it's spot on. Caution.
Trouble on the backstretch. The 00 of Membrino has come around, our first caution of the night.
First caution comes out for the 00 of Membrino. We are now 29 laps into this Napa Auto Parts 100-lap event.
I don't want to beat it up too much here, though, so if I got to settle a line, I'll settle a line.
What you're listening to is the spotter and Keith Rocco discussing just how much they want to use the car up. Let's see if we can check in with Keith. Let's check in quickly first with Tony Sutton. Tony?
Yeah, Cipriano just came in the 84 car. They made a minor adjustment to the rear suspension and sent him right back out. We're down the other end of the wall. We're not really sure what's going on, but it looks like just adjustment in tire pressure on the car that's in the midsection of the pit area. Back to you.
All right, now we're going to check in with Keith Rocco. Keith, how much are you using the car up there?
Yeah, Jackie, I'm here.
What about the condition of the car? How's it going? What about the car condition, Keith? How's it going so far?
I am Priest there.
Very confused.
Well, 28 laps are up on the board as we are now still holding here. Pit road, Doug Colby, one of the cars that came up through the consolation event. Kurt Brainerd is there as well. The Williams car that won last week, and another car that was on the podium is Sean Foster with car number 25. So lights are off on the safety vehicle at the point. The field crosses over. 28 laps and counting in this 100-lap event.
Got to be impressed so far by the runs, as I said, by Keith Rocco and by Eric Byrne. They certainly have been working and trying to maintain a conservative approach to things. But with the way that Ryan Priest carved his way to the front of the field, and with the way that the battle between Keith Rocco and Rowan Pennick has gone, I think we're getting ready for a dandy middle of this car off. Getting ready to see the green flag. Who will come up through the gearbox the quickest? Well, Priest gets there first, but boy, it is side by side down into turn number 1.
Bottom of turn 1, off the second turn. Here comes Rocco. Priest is the tail that wags the dog.
Rocco has the advantage in 3. That was the restart that he needed. Able to bypass Pennick, and here comes Priest looking for second.
It was a bobble by Rowan Pennick coming out of the corner that gave the advantage, and looking to capitalize and jump on it is the Deuce, that orange numbered Deuce, number 2. But he is having his hands full with Frank Rocco, who dives into the turn 3 area and tries to rim ride out and take over that 3rd spot.
Woody Pitcat was sideways the last circuit by in turn 4. He had moved up to the top 5, and then the car got evil. Christopher is on a mission down underneath the Deuce in turn 3.
But the battle is enjoyed for the lead. Rowan Pennick gathering back up his wits and momentum has moved to the inside of Keith Rocco. Across the stripe, a dead heat that lap.
No question, they were side by side, evenly matched as they head down the back straightaway. Back crossover as they head towards Mike in turn 3.
And Rocco takes a peek to the inside in turn number 3, wheel to wheel for the lead. Can Pennick do the crossover? No. And we got trouble in turn 3. One car turned around, backing into the wall. As for the lead continues in 1.
that looks from our vantage point to be Chris Jones.
Yep, Chris Jones, the 39 car, will bring out the second caution of the event. 32 laps into this one. Since the last caution, Jack, we saw a couple of things happening here. Woody Pitkat started to go forward, then the car got loose, it slipped up the racetrack, and he went back a couple of...
I mean, I'm being pretty patient right now, but, you know, I see Keith and Rowan battling it up there, so we'll get up there pretty soon.
All right, good luck to you. We'll check in with you a little bit later.
Let's set the field before we go back to green. 32 laps up on the board. Keith Rocco, the leader. Rowan Pennick is here at 12 in 32 circuits. Row number 2, it is Frank Rocco in 3rd. Preece in the 4th spot. Christopher's got 5. Pitkat for 6. Back down in pit road.
Williams in the 59 car came in and they changed the front to the back and the back to the front on the outside tires. It felt that the wear wasn't even, and they might be able to pick up some handling as we go back upstairs.
Field is rumbling under caution. The pace car lights are out, going to Mike Massaro's position. Mike?
And so far it's been a battle of wills between Rocco and Pennick. They're lined up side by side. Field bunches up. Pace car dives down pit road. They're coming to you, Jeff.
Getting ready to see the display of the green flag. It is out, coming up through the gearbox. Keith Rocco gets the jump, but will it be enough going down into turn number 1? He gets a half car length advantage, but look who's on the move, Massaro, the 91 of Rocco, trying to get that second spot.
Yeah, Frank Rocco, that is, to the inside of Pennick, trying to chase down Keith Rocco. Rocco opens up the inside lane, but it's not enough for Frank to capitalize. Pennick up top, right in the tire tracks of Keith Rocco. Rocco leads into turn number 1, but the battle right now is for second place. Pennick up top, Frank Rocco down below. With a great view of it all is Ryan Preece back in 4th.
While all that's been happening, a battle right behind him. Ted Christopher, Woody Pitkat. Inside lane opens up. Here comes Rocco. Jack, back to turn 1.
By a bumper, second position, but Rowan Pennick making the outside work. And they're holding up the deuce of Ryan Preece. Preece has nowhere to go, Mike Massaro.
No, he's content to ride the tire tracks of Frank Rocco for the time being. Rocco and Pennick still locked at the hip, battling for second, allowing Keith Rocco to get off to a little bit of an advantage. That goes away, though, very quickly in turn number 1. Pennick dives down into the corner, and off the corner he comes, right in the tire tracks of Keith Rocco, trying to chase him down for the lead off turn 3.
Frank Rocco's got a car that sticks like glue on the inside. That pays off as he now moves into second. Preece sees the door open, bottom of ton. Ryan Preece up to 3, Pennick back to 4.
And Ryan Preece now has some clear sailing and can set the gun sights of that flying deuce on your second place machine, Frank Rocco. Clean and green out in front is Keith Rocco. Kid Rock in the maroon, number 88, has a little bit of breathing room, but I don't think you can say the same, Massaro, for Frank Rocco, who's beginning to feel the heat from Ryan Preece.
Ryan Preece always determined. Certainly Frank Rocco knows he's there. A big rear view mirror of the number 2. Single file, though, off turn number 4. Nobody stepping out of line as they come down into turn number 1. Frank Rocco now taking a peek to the inside of Keith Rocco. There's really nothing there. They'll fan off of turn number 2. Single file down the back straightaway. Perhaps some contact between the Roccos. Keith gets out of shape. Frank takes advantage for the time being, but the crossover move by Keith, he'll try to take it back as they head to start-finish.
Frank Rocco's had a limited schedule in 2014, but he is not limited tonight. Like days of old, he takes back the lead. Down the back straightaway, here comes Preece, working him over. Pennick has to settle into 4.
Out of turn number 4, it is Frank Rocco taking the lead. Keith Rocco in second, Ryan Preece third, Rowan Pennick in 4th, and lurking back there is Ted Christopher, who is starting to at least knock on Rowan Pennick's door. Side by side down into turn number 3. It's a Rocco set. Frank on the inside, Keith on the outside. Who will have the advantage out of turn number 4? At the stripe, it is Keith Rocco ahead of Frank Rocco. Can he make the outside work, Mike Massaro?
He's definitely trying to as he turns off of turn 2. And he's got the advantage over Frank. He'll close down, dropping to the bottom of the racetrack and take the lead away. Meanwhile, here comes Ryan Preece, making a bid for second place, trying to get to the outside of Frank Rocco, headed into turn number 1, and they are dead even as they battle for that second spot while Keith Rocco has the advantage, but you can throw a blanket over those top 4 cars. amazing battle for the lead.
No question about it. Ryan Preece is hooked up on the outside. Look, now all of a sudden, Pennick sees a little daylight to the bottom, and Rowan Pennick goes back into the third spot. Here comes Ted Christopher in for position number 5 as they start to string it out a bit down to turn 3.
Ryan Preece has showed a great deal of patience and discipline starting in the 12th position. I have yet to see him use really the car up in any fashion. You can't say the same with the man that's on the point. Kid Rock, Mike Massaro, has been fearless as far as taking the car.
And he's really had no choice. He's either had to try to find a way around Pennick or try to fend off Rocco. It's been no easy ride for Keith Rocco this evening. And with it being a 100-lap race, Jack, you know these can conserve a little bit of that rubber, because when we get into the 90s or so, they're going to be chasing it all over this racetrack.
Well, they continue to run single file and nose to tail as they work their way back to the line. Keith Rocco still the leader of the event. Nobody pulling out of line this time. A little further back in the top 10, we see a good battle also starting to come into play. Glenn Reen is starting to make his presence known. Remember, Reen started way back in the 17th starting position.
And Glenn now being shown in the nice spot. We're single file, but still there is a lot of challenging going on at the point. Frank Rocco again down on the inside looking for an advantage. Keith Rocco not using up all the race, but certainly making it as difficult as possible for the number 91 to get an inside slingshot around the Wheeler Automotive Chevrolet.
3 different leaders, 14 different lead changes. Right up front, the story is those 3 cars for the 3 different leaders. Down the back straightaway again, it looks like Rocco's going to try another bottom shot. Move soon.
Frank looked to the inside and could not get enough distance on the inside to be able to try and navigate around to Keith Rocco. Let's see what happens as they come to Mike Massaro out of turn number 2. They are hug to hug.
Once again, a battle for the lead on the back straightaway. The Rocco side by side with Pennick trying to work the inside himself. Latches himself to the rear bumper. Frank Rocco trying to get underneath Keith Rocco while the yellow comes out.
Tommy Membrino spins the 00 right at the start-finish line just as the halfway mark was about to be issued. Yeah.
So 49 shows as they cross the stripe just about to the halfway point in the event. We'll set the field for you, Keith Rock.
Crossover is, let's check real quickly with Tony Sutton. Tony?
Well, 2 more teams now switching front to back on the outside of the tires. So as your comments earlier, they're starting to eat up the rubber, and they're hoping the drives can steer and the steers can maintain traction backstairs.
Think about that. When was the last time you saw in an SK modified race tire rotation like we have on the highway?
We have never seen that before. I will tell you that right back. See what's going to happen. Lights are off on the pace car. Rocco and Rocco in the front row. Rowan Pennick and Ryan Preece. Green is out. Back up through the gears. And Keith Rocco. But look at Preece. He just laid that chrome horn on the back bumper of Rocco, and it didn't pay off. Here comes Christopher.
Christopher taking a peek to the inside. He's back in third. Pennick in second, chasing Keith Rocco as they come up on lap traffic off of turn 4.
Avery is sideways, gathers it back. Car number 10 literally got sideways. Todd Owen has now worked his way up as Owen is now among the top 7 cars.
Yeah, but what a great restart, not only by Ted Christopher, but by Rowan Pennick. They get a breakaway now going around Tommy Bowles. They're going to have to tiptoe ever so slightly out of turn number 4. Halfway mark has been achieved with Rocco, Keith Rocco in first. Second spot to Rowan Pennick, and third belongs to Ted Christopher.
They come up on the lap traffic. Tommy Bowles, the 76, goes down a lap. Bowles tries to guard the inside lane, let the faster cars go on the outside. But here's Preece. He's right there, and all of a sudden, Bowles almost stops his run to the front.
Yeah, Preece got pinned down just behind Tommy Bowles. Bowles now diving to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to get out of the way of the lead lap cars. Meanwhile, up front, some pressure on Rocco as they come to start finish.
They are single file down into turn number 1, and Ted Christopher, as we said, moving back into that third position. Ryan Preece now a clear shot on Frank Rocco. That will be the challenge for the 4th position. Now, Preece, a couple of circuits ago, Ben, actually almost made it 3 wide into the corner when they were bottled up behind Tommy Bowles and got on the binders and backed out and said, let's gather it back in.
Back to the front of the field. Pennick makes a bid for it again. All of a sudden, Priest is all over Frank Rocco in 3.
Race traffic is going to come into play in this extra distance event, and Mike Massaro, the key is going to be where do you race traffic and utilize it as a pick.
That we already saw that on about 2 laps ago or so when we saw Ryan Priest get pinned behind Tommy Bowles. That's going to become a bigger and bigger issue as this race wears on and more cars go down a lap. Right now the field relatively stretched out, only 2 or 3 cars off the pace, but the leaders are approaching another car that seems to be a little bit slower than the leaders, about 6 or 7 car lengths before they get to the 39 of Chris Jones.
You know, Ted Christopher is right where he'd like to be. He isn't using up a lot of that race car, but he's watching what's happening in front of him. Christopher is going to become a factor. 57 now up on the board. Keith Rocco, Rowan Pennick, Christopher, Ryan Priest, Frank Rocco, Todd Owen round out the top 6 positions here.
One of the great things that I'm seeing is that Ted Christopher is able to glue the front of that car right down on the white line. With 56 laps in the record book, that bodes well for Christopher, but Pennick is still challenging for that front position held by Keith Rocco. Down in front of you, Mike, side by side.
Pennick to the bottom of the racetrack. He'll take the lead away from Rocco off turn number 4 and hold it at start-finish. Meanwhile, Ted Christopher just minding his own business, staying back, taking a good view of things, and waiting for the right opportunity to pounce. It's hard to believe it's taken this long for Christopher to be mentioned in this cast, but you knew he would be, and he's going to be a factor before this thing's over.
I think now we have to look a little further back in this field in a battle for the 5th spot, Jack, is Frank Rocco, Todd Owen, Woody Pitkat, and Glenn Reen. Reen has passed more cars than anyone else in this field, car number 17.
And let's not forget that all of this back and forth and swapping for the lead between Pennick and Rocco has been to the advantage of Ryan Priest as he tries to close without wearing his stuff out. And he had that little back off and getting on the binders. And now he has narrowed the margin over Teddy Christopher to just 1.5 seconds as they go down into turn 3. So it is Rowan Pennick with 0.2 of a second lead over Keith Rocco. 0.3 of a second behind them is Ted Christopher. And then just 0.5 second behind is Ryan Priest trying to close.
Priest is trying to close up that gap ever so slightly. Then there's that real dogfight battle for that 5th spot. Frank Rocco there, one of the early leaders in this event. Todd Owen, Woody Pitkat, and Glenn Reen. 4 cars, single file as they come back to the stripe.
I don't know, Mike. I get the sense that Keith Rocco is getting just a little impatient as they come to you.
Yeah, he's not afraid to use that chrome horn. He's getting closer and closer. Can't apply it just yet, but you can tell he's just inching up on that rear bumper of Pennick, waiting for the right moment.
65 laps in the record books. The century mark get a little bit closer in your front windshield. And will this be Rowan Pennick's night? Has he been able to conserve his tires? What about Keith Rocco, Ted Christopher? 2 drivers that just a couple of weeks ago swapped the lead back and forth. And then what about your 4th place car? And that is a fast closing Ryan Priest, who Keith Rocco said, I want a piece of tonight.
He certainly did say that, and right now Ryan Priest is just kind of riding it out at 65, clicks off on the big board. That is not the story for Frank Rocco and Todd Owen in that battle for the 5th spot. Those 2 cars have been nose to tail as Owen takes a peek and looks to the outside.
Looks high and then tries to do the crossover down to the inside of Keith Rocco down the backstretch.
And they'll return to single file. Just behind them, you'll see double-wide racing. But the battle between Rocco has settled down now into turn 1.
Woody Pitkat and Glenn Reen are trading positions, however. As Reen has now moved into the 7th spot, Pitkat has faded back to 8th.
Remember, Glenn Reen started back in the 17th starting position. He has passed more cars than anyone else in this field.
Lead of this race, Rowan Pennick, and this is the lengthiest lead that anybody's had, Mike.
For the most part, it's been nip and lead. You're right, Jack, and well, Pennick appears to be stretching it out a bit. He's got about a 3-car length advantage. Perhaps Keith Rocco just trying to conserve a little bit, maybe save something for the closing laps. He knows not only does he have to get around Pennick, but he's going to need to fend off some 2 hard-charging drivers in the likes of Ted Christopher and Ryan Priest. They're not going away anytime soon either.
You can see that exactly. Nobody is running away. About the same distance. Second and third is maintaining, as now we are at 30 laps to go in this event. Rowan Pennick, the leader. Keith Rocco, second. Ted Christopher, Ryan Preece, and Frank Rocco, the top five.
I'll tell you, I'm beginning to sense that everybody has gone into tire conservation mode. The lap times from the start of the race to now have dropped by a full second. No telling where the lap times will be when we get down to the final 10 laps of this event.
Well, you know, every one of these competitors know what these cars did at 40. Some even know what they've done a little bit beyond that. But for some, they have no idea. We are now in a zone that's completely different. And we've had long runs. We have not had cautions and brakes. We've had long green flag runs.
Here comes Glenn Reen trying to acquire another spot. He wants to move to 6th.
He is down underneath Todd Owen. They are side by side as they head towards Mike Massaro in turn 3.
Reed has the advantage, but not by much. Maybe a foot or so. Owen not going away, but he's pinned on the outside groove, and it's not going to work for him. Give the advantage to Reed.
And Reed, in a race car that he occupies and works on by himself in Wilbraham, Massachusetts. Well, a regular here at Stafford until this year when cubic dollars ran out. And boy, could he use a sizable payday tonight.
He sure could, and he has passed more cars than anyone else, starting in the 17th position. And as you look at those times, Jack, he is among the quickest cars currently on the racetrack.
All right, fellas, here's the way it's going to start to shake down. Rowan Pennick is just about 0.4 of a second away from coming up on a gaggle of cars. And Mike Massaro, the key is going to be not do you pass, but when do you pass?
Yeah, he's going to have to time his moves absolutely perfectly. He's got a lot of car maneuver on by, and that low groove has been taken away by the lap cars. That's really been the primary line for Pennick and for Rocco throughout the course of the evening. Pennick's going to need to work that high line as he works traffic.
Now trouble just in front of the leaders. Car goes around just in front of Doug Colby, and there is contact there. And we believe it's the Danny Cates car.
It just went around in turn number 2,
yep.
And it looked worse than it acted.
And when he hasn't been on his roof, something is broke on the race car. We have had 15 different lead changes among 3 drivers in 76 laps. So that speaks for itself. Let's recap the top 10 for you. Rowan Pennick is your leader. Keith Rocco is second. Ted Christopher is third. Ryan Preece is fourth. Frank Rocco is fifth. Big mover, Glenn Reen, from 17th up to the 6th spot. Todd Owen turning in a great run in 7th. Woody Pitcat is 8th. Zach Sylvester from the B main up to the 9th position. And Dan Avery's currently in 10th.
In 11th is Rich Pillai. Chase Dowling, the youngster, is in 12th. Michael Gervais is in the 13th spot. Tony Membrino Jr. is 14th. Brian Sullivan is 15th. 16th is Matt Galco. Joey Cipriano is 17th. Ronnie Williams, after a spin, is 18th. Nick Boyven is in the 19th spot. Tommy Mel Jr. 20th. And then the field is filled out by Kurt Brainerd, Eric Byrne, who is on pit road, Sean Foster. Eric has returned, Danny Cates, and Doug Colby.
The field is crossed over and doubled up. Lights are off from Whelen Engineering on the pace car. They head into turn number 3. We're about ready to go back to green.
And watch how these guys tackle this restart. You've got to come up through the gearbox, but get the traction and put the tire rubber down to the track. Who's going to have the advantage coming out of turn number 4? Green is out. Ted Christopher with a move on the inside. Christopher is going to try and challenge for second. He gets by second. Now he's going after first, Mike.
And he's got a good look at it, too, off of turn 2. Pin to the inside, trouble behind him. One car out of shape, sliding through the grass. Leaders storming down into turn number 3. Pennick has the advantage, but feeling the pressure from Rocco and Christopher.
That was the 79 of Membrino. He will not bring out the yellow, however, because he is back under power. But look at this contest up front.
Christopher back up to the 2nd spot. Meanwhile, here comes Preece on the outside. He's trying to get up there with Keith Rocco. That's what they were talking about. We've got one sideways. It's Glenn Reen, car number 17.
What a difficult end to a night for Glenn Reen, the youngster who started way in the back of the pack and now has his day come up just 23 laps short.
Other cars involved in that skirmish was the 92 car of Brian Sullivan, the mentioned of Glenn Reen, and Eric Burnt, the number 66 car. 77 laps are up on the board, Jack, and Teddy Christopher is looking like, well, He's been playing this card game with those cards right up on his chest, and no one knows what's coming.
Well, with that having been said, though, look what's going on directly behind him. What did Keith Rocco want? He wanted a piece of Ryan Preece. And now all of a sudden, Preece and Rocco found themselves on the outside and literally having to work with each other to try and get around the guys that were on the inside, including Pennick and including Frank Rocco. And now all of a sudden, that all goes by the board.
It sure does. Better be careful what you wish for, I think can best be said in one. Down the back straightaway, they're still in single file formation as we take a look at the field. Another card that's come on very strong is Zach Sylvester. We have to give a shout out to him. He's in the 9th spot. He came from the consolation event. So Sylvester has come from the 18th position up to the 9th position. So he's done a good job of this as well. Yellow still remains out on the field. The 76 of Bowles heads back out on pit road. And it looks like we're going to go at least one more lap before we double the field back up.
I'm going to start with you, and then we'll check with Massaro. Do you think Ted Christopher likes the outside enough to be able to hang tight with Rowan Pennick?
Yes, I think he does. I think we've seen him be cautious and patient with that. Pennick has his own distinctive line. And remember, Christopher's been watching those two guys swap back and forth. He's been analyzing the situation. Yes, I think he can go to the outside.
Mike, what do you think?
What I like most about Ted Christopher is the fact that he's really conserved his equipment throughout the course of this race. Pennick, he's been pushed really hard. He's used most of his stuff up. I would think has a lot more left than Pennick does right now.
All right, let's carry this to the extreme. Tweet us at Stafford Speedway. Who do you think's going to win this thing? At Stafford Speedway, grab your smartphone. I wish I could get a phone that was smart. And let us know who you think is going to win this first at Napa SK5K. Trackside with Tony Sutton. Quick report from pit road.
Well, Glenn Reen was pushed a little bit, got sideways, and I said, is he going to come in? They said, absolutely not. He's come from 17th to 6th. He's got a strong car, and he feels he can still go forward.
We should point out that 24 of the 27 cars are still running here on lap number 77.
I'd like to see that happen in the Whelen Modified Tour.
You won't see it. I hate to tell you that, Jack, but let's see what's going to happen as we're about ready to go back to green flag racing off turn number 4. We saw what happened last time. Will Christopher make the move on the outside?
And look who does not fire. Keith Rocco not coming up through the gearbox. It holds up the inside lane, and Frank Rocco now checking Ted Christopher for that second spot. Now everybody gets up to speed. And down into turn number 3, it is Rowan Pennick trying to hold off the inside move of TC Ted Christopher. They lock horns down at the start-finish line and into turn number 1, side by side yet again.
Christopher on top of the game now, down the back straightaway towards turn 3.
Christopher made his own hole last time. Meanwhile, big trouble on the back straightaway. Several cars in the wall. And that will bring things to a halt.
Caution comes out. Lap number 78. We've got, well, a half a dozen cars.
Eric Byrne, Len Reen, we can see. We can see that Sean Foster has pulled up power.
The Williams car is also there.
For the 39 car and the Williams car, Membrino also involved.
Yep.
In super speedway racing, they call that the big one.
It was a big one, too. So 78 laps now complete. Cipriano is down on pit road. Jervis's car smoking a Nerf bar, rubbing on the right rear of the car as well.
Let me catch up on the social media. An awful lot of people opining this is going to be Ted Christopher's race. In second in terms of tweets, and it's at Stafford Speedway, they are saying that it is going to be Kid Rock that's going to win this. And then in third, it's the 99 Rowan Pennick. Like the way it's going on the social media? Well, tweet us at Stafford Speedway and make your vote count, because we have got 22 laps. Looks like you're kind of boxed in with nowhere to go. How do you fight out of that?
Need a little bit of luck like I had 3 or 2 weeks ago. Just need a lean, so once we get up there, we'll make it happen.
How about the traction issue? You got those tires on there. We're going the extra distance. Are they still a set of Dr. Feelgoods, or are they starting to get worn out?
It's still Dr. Feelgoods. It's just, you know, we're real close, and these other guys are a little bit closer. So we'll work with what we got and get it in victory lane.
All right, they're giving the cover signal. Good luck.
Thanks for me.
All right. right, all the in-car radio communication, courtesy of Waddell Communications, Sean Waddell, offering up the latest technology, and I think after 50 laps, I finally got in the hang of it.
You did. It was operator error. We want everybody to know. Great radios, but operator error.
Let's quickly get a comment from Joey Cipriano. He's out of the race.
You're not happy with the car, but the tough break, what happened?
That's hard racing, coming down the last 30 laps of a race for 5,000 to win. Guys in the back, they get all bunched up, and it sucks being on the top. You have nowhere to go when stuff like that happens. I thought I found a hole, and someone came from the wall. And
we're going green. I got to go, but thank you very much for the comments.
We are under green. Rowan Pennick trying to hold off Ted Christopher on the outside. Right behind him, he's trying to hold off Frank Rocco, Keith Rocco, and now look at Ryan Preece on the inside. Side by side, it is Rocco and Preece. And look at Ted Christopher. Oh, a great move by Ted Christopher, gives him the lead and getting an advantage. Riding the wake into second spot was Frank Rocco. Now they all do bumper tag in turn 2.
Christopher went way up the hill. They are 3 wide for the third spot. Pennick in the middle. Preece backs out of it. Now the door opens. Preece moves to the bottom. 3 wide for third, Jack, as they come to the stripe.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Keith Rocco backs out. Ryan Preece has moved into the third spot. Rowan Pennick battling on the outside, trying to take advantage. And look who's moved into the conversation. Woody Pitcat.
Woody Pitcat running up front of the point parade. Now Frank Rocco made a bid for Christopher. It just doesn't happen. Look back there as Woody Pitcat and Keith Rocco are duking it out. That's the battle for position 5.
19 laps to go in this thing, and all of a sudden Frank Rocco starts to stoke the flames, going to the inside, Mike Massaro.
Rocco's still showing he's got quite a bit under the hood, and the tires look pretty good as well as he keeps it pinned down on the bottom of the racetrack off turn number 4. Tries to slide up underneath. Teddy Christopher moves her out of the groove off turn number 2, and it may work to his advantage. Rocco with the lead, headed down the back straightaway, and following in his footsteps, that's Ryan Preece. Meanwhile, Ted Christopher swept to the outside.
Ryan Preece is a man with a mission. He's coming to the front of the field. There's no question about it. Preece now slides up the racetrack under Christopher. Now it is Preece into seconds.
They have taken the gloves off. It is time to duke this out for the final 17 circuits. Frank Rocco in front, but he feels the hot breath of 2 stellar competitors. Ryan Preece, the Whelen Modified Tour defending champion. Teddy Christopher, multi-time track champion and Whelen Modified Tour champion. And now Rowan Pennick makes it a 4-car tango into turn 3.
Pennick now moves into the third spot. Back off turn number 4, Pennick is up to position number 3 again, but Christopher now back up on the wheel. He goes to the outside again. Christopher on the outside of Pennick, battle for third.
Christopher just can't find his way back down in line. Will finally be able to do so, but not until he has to settle in that 4th position. Meanwhile, Frank Rocco up front, feeling the pressure from Ryan Preece. Single file racing, but it won't last this way for long, I'm sure.
1 week ago, Ryan Preece saw his day go up in smoke when he was black flagged for avoidable contact. It hurt his feelings. And when I mean hurt his feelings, don't shed a tear. But he said, we don't like to race that way. I love to race side by side. I said to him it was high risk, high reward. And that basically set the tone for what he was going to do tonight. There's a black hat, there's a white hat. That's the morality play that comes into play whenever you go racing, especially here in the SK Modifieds. But the big question is, who wears the black hat right now when you look at Frank Rocco in front in the 91 and Ryan Preece in the 2?
That is a question that is still not to be answered with 88 laps up on the board. Once again, Preece tries it again. This time he looks to the bottom. Frank Rocco brings the car back down, pulls it back in line, and Pennick still running in the tire tracks in turn 1.
As they come to Mike Massaro, it looks like Frank Rocco's making a very wide car out of the leader.
He really doesn't have much of a choice. He's got a lot of pressure from behind. Ryan Preece right there, Rowan Pennick, and of course Teddy Christopher waiting to make his march to the front as well. Once again, a peek to the inside, but Rocco able to shut the door in turn number 1. Doesn't go high, pins it down to the apron, sweeps off the corner on the back straightaway. It's single file racing back to 3.
We are 10 laps away from a $5,000 payday. Who will cash the check? Will it be Frank Rocco as your leader? Will it be Ryan Preece, who has come from mid-pack to try and challenge for? Will it be Rowan Pennick? Or will it be Ted Christopher? Stay tuned. We are running out of laps. And now, look at Ryan Preece down on the inside, slingshotting in. Rowan Pennick taking advantage of a high-flying Frank Rocco. And now the caution comes out.
Caution flag
Trouble
comes
in
out.
turn 2.
Yes, sir. Top side of the racetrack. Membrino, car number 79, brings out the caution with 9 circuits remaining.
And here is really the part that, well, Ryan Preece doesn't want to hear.
That's right.
You go back to the last completed green flag lap.
That's right.
What we have to do is check timing and scoring. Was it Frank Rocco in front at that point? Yeah.
We'll make it work. We got 9 more laps. Hopefully good racing.
You know, you just can't go after Frank without looking in your rearview mirror and realize that both Pennick and TC might take advantage of any miscue you make. How defensive can you be while you're on the offense?
Well, that was the thing. I was trying to time it, and I thought I did, but then that caution came out, so we'll make it work.
All right, good luck to you. You're getting the crossover mark now.
Field crosses over. 17 lead changes among 4 different leaders, Jack.
Let's update you on the social media. We've been asking you to tweet to us who you think's going to win this race. Well, all of you people that waited until the last 10 laps an hour on for Ryan Preece, good job out of all of you. At Stafford Speedway. Follow us and tweet us. Who's going to win this thing? Well, I'll tell you what, it is going to be a dandy 9-lap dash for cash.
It sure is. We're about ready to get them fired back up again. All eyes are on turn number 4. When Preece took the lead, half of the grandstand got up and cheered. Green flag is back out. They're dead even as they cross the stripe.
And do you see who is pushing the outside lane? Ryan Preece coming up, but on the chrome horn and using its bumper to try and bump draft is TC Ted Christopher. Down into turn number 3. They are stacked up 8 deep, 8 rows.
3 wide as they come back to this.
God, look at Rowan Pennick looking to the inside. Now trying to climb up the ladder. Ryan Preece, who reminds us of, well, Ronnie Bouchard, the way he makes the high side work, Mike.
Definitely some old school racing here. 4 cars battling for the lead, approaching a slower car as they come down the straightaway. Rocco holding the advantage, but man, there is some pressure. Teddy Christopher, Rowan Pennick, Ryan Preece, all there. Any one of those guys can come away with a victory, and it's not just them. There's cars 5th and 6th just waiting for one of them to make a mistake. Still lots of action to play out.
Actually, the top 12 cars are packed together like a swarm of bees just to come shooting out of the nest. Meanwhile, look to the outside again. Here comes Preece again, but Pennick is the blocker, and he moves back into line.
And does he? He goes to the inside, tries to get the lead. He gets down in the grass. And look at the move. The swap of positions out of turn number 4. They lock Nerf bars. They bump. And all of a sudden, it is Ryan Preece that has taken over the lead. And a car spins. It's the 66 of Eric Byrne. And that brings out the caution. And guess what? Guess what? Throw that out the window.
Yes. All over again because we go back to the last completed scored lap.
Let's check in with Mike Massaro. Mike, you just kind of knew that it was going to be a fandango there, especially it started to develop right in front of you in turn 3.
Yeah, Rowan Pennick got real low. You saw the dirt kick up, and all of a sudden that battle for the lead, which was just 2 by 2, 2 rows deep, certain to get about 4 wide there going through turns 3 and 4. And there just wasn't enough room there. It's going to be like that, I would expect, for the next couple of laps or so as they come down to the checkers. $5,000 up for grabs. It's going to be a who wants it game for sure.
It's a 5-lap dash for $5,000. And timing and scoring showing Ryan Preece made it stick, and he is your leader. Frank Rocco moves to 2nd. Rowan Pennick is 3rd. Ted Christopher 4th. Give a shout, Esther. They fill positions 5 and 6. Keith Rocco is faded to 7th. Boy, things can change. And how about Glenn Reen in 8th spot?
He's come from the back of the pack for the 2nd time tonight. Woody Pitkat is 9th, and Chase Dowling currently is running in the 10th spot. 5 for $5,000 is the story. They're still single file down the back straightaway. Lights are still on in the pace car. This isn't over with yet, Jack.
No, and let's run through the rest of the field, at least in the top 20. Back in the 10th position is Chase Dowling. Brian Sullivan is 11th. Dan Avery is 12th. Richie Pillai, making his return, is in the 13th spot. Tom Bowles, Sean Foster, Tommy Membrino Jr., Kurt Brainerd, Michael Gervais, Matt Galco, and Eric round out the top 20. The lights are out atop the Dodge Challenger pace car. That means we're going back to a dash for cash. 5 for 5.
5 for 5 as they head into turn number 2. And down the back straightaway, Ryan Preece on the inside, Frank Rocco on the outside. Mike Massaro, you've got the best spot to watch the restart.
And I'll tell you what, this has been the most fun I've had calling a race all year long, and it's only going to get better. Ryan Preece on the inside, Rocco on the outside, Ted Christopher up high. Rowan Pennick down low, pace car off as they come to the green flag.
And the bump and grind at full tilt. Getting a push from Rowan Pennick is the 2 of Ryan Preece. Pennick tries to ride the wake into second. He does. And look at Tony. Oh my gosh, another yellow.
4 cars involved in this one. Bowles is right in the middle of all of that.
And how about the run on that restart by the green number 51? You know who scooted into third position? Zach Sylvester.
Yes, and remember, that car came from the consolation event, to be honest with you. So he's come a long way. He's passed more cars now than anyone else.
You know what? We've been talking about social media. Let's go old school, shall we, right now?
Yeah.
What do you think, folks? Is the SK 5K brought to you by Napa a resounding success? You want to see more of this?
Yes, they do. You can tell by their response and their enthusiasm.
So you didn't have to follow us on the social media. You didn't need a smartphone. Even a blind man could appreciate what's unfolding in front of us tonight here at Stafford Motor Speedway.
Sure can. Down in pit road, it is Richie Pillai back down there as well. The Bowles car cut a tire. That was the reason that car went around. And we're still back at the same story, Jack. 5 for 5.
And with Rocco on the outside of Ryan Preece, you need to pay attention, right, Mike? As they go into turn 3, that's when everybody tightens up, tries to just have one more gear shift before they get to the Napa Goza in turn number 4. And you've got to be able to put that power down on the racetrack at that point.
Yeah, we've seen it all night long. Drivers make their moves off turn number 2, get a good run down the back straightaway, but it gets kind of chaotic down in turn number 3. That's where the action's been, and will continue to be in the next 5 laps for sure.
Here they come off turn number 4.
$1,000 up for grabs. Frank Rocco gets on the gas, but then he has to back out just a bit. It is side-by-side, hub-to-hub, rim riding down to take the lead is Ryan Preece.
Preece in command down the back straightaway. Rowan Pennick back up to second on the inside. Christopher, the crossover move.
Ted Christopher trying to dispatch with Frank Rocco in the blue 91, the 13 looking a podium position. I just sense, Mike Massaro, that Rowan Pennick still has a chorus or two to sing in his song for 5K.
He's going to have to make it happen here in the next couple of laps. Riding the tire tracks of Preece down into turn number 2. A very smooth line. Chaos behind him, but Pennick and Christopher just waiting for an opportunity to get by Preece. Preece, though, no bobble whatsoever into turn 1.
No question, Preece still in command of this one. Pennick is still setting in second, 97 up on the board. This time when they come back to the stripe, 2 circuits to go, 1 mile left as they head back to turn number 1.
The popsicle sticks are up, the clenched white, the clenched checkered, 2 laps, 1 mile to go. Can Ryan Preece off a hard-charging Rowan Pennick? Pennick takes a bead down the backstretch.
This may be one of his last opportunities. He peeks to the inside, dives down low, tries to get up underneath Preece. They're even off turn 4.
The fans are
out of turn number 4. Who will be at the stripe? It is Preece with 1 lap to go. Coming to you, Mike.
Trouble.
A spin in turn 1.
Preece goes spinning. Zach Sylvester is involved, and the field remains under green. As the crowd goes wild, the double checkers are out, and Rowan Pennick will cross the line first. Ted Christopher in for second, Frank Rocco for third, Kiko for fourth, and Glenn Reen to round out the...
Yes, indeed.